Tonight on Sportsource, as if the COVID-19 pandemic wasn't causing enough challenges for area coaches and athletic directors, they now have a new challenge. There are fewer referees to work games. Also ahead, profiling Luke Koenig, a North Oconee golfer who only has 5 years of playing experience under his belt, but is already turning heads with his impressive play. We will also go beyond the bases as we break down which area baseball teams might end up in the playoffs this season. All this and more coming up next on Sportsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for high school sports. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Sportsource.
Good evening and welcome to Sportsource. I'm your host, Jayla Norman. Now, if there's one thing that we've all learned in the past year, it's that a lot can happen in 1 week, and the sports world is no exception. But don't worry, we've got you covered in this edition of Sportsource. Analyst Kelly Venegas and JC Shelton will join me a little bit later to talk everything from golf to baseball. But first, we'll kick things off with a look at how area teams are doing in the state basketball playoff race. The state playoffs started this past Wednesday, and the Athens Academy boys kick things off with a 65-52 win against Hebron Christian. They'll face off against the Christian Heritage Lions this weekend. Cedar, Shoals, and Clark Central also beat out their opponents to progress to the next round, while North Oconee lost a hard-fought battle against Luella, 74-57. For the girls' teams, North Oconee and Cedar Shoals both progressed to round 2, while Oconee County, Prince Avenue, Athens Academy, and Clark Central fell short. And now, here's Georgia Chambers to tell us more about a Cedar Shoals golfer.
Thanks, Jayla. I was able to find out how one student at Cedar Shoals was able to help build a team from ground up.
3 years ago, the Cedar Shoals golf team was just an idea Mr. Hacker mentioned in algebra class. Now, due in part to junior Michael Castile's recruiting efforts, Cedar Shoals has a junior varsity and varsity boys team with 7 varsity players. Brant Hacker, head of the Cedar Shoals math department, is their coach.
He made an offhand comment about wanting to get a team started, and that just sort of stuck with me. And so I started talking to a couple of my friends, got them intrigued about the prospect, and then just started playing.
Hacker has been playing golf with his 4- and 6-year-old during the summers. Hacker wanted to share his passion for golf with his students, and the idea of free golf was an added bonus.
It's just different when you actually get to interact with people in a non-academic setting. So it's been good.
Cedar Shoals had a golf team in the early 2000s, but Hacker said that there was no interest, so the team quickly diminished. Castile was able to ignite passion among his friends, whether they had experience or not. Castile and his teammates haven't competed in the area tournament in the last 2 years.
These are a lot of his buddies. We got one kid who's a 9th grade kid this year that has played and can play, and then everybody else had never touched a golf club.
Castile was in Hacker's algebra class freshman year. The majority of the boys on the varsity roster this season were friends Castile recruited 3 years ago. Junior Alex Holland was in Castile's freshman math class, but was hesitant to commit to the team initially.
He supports all of us, and it's kind of like a leadership role, and he just gives us the confidence because golf is mostly mental.
Castile motivates his team to continue pushing through obstacles, even when they're out of his control.
One time when we were golfing, it was pouring rain, and it was just me, Michael, and then Ethan, and it was just really fun.
Castile uses his own personal story as a tactic to help recruit players. His family friend has tickets to the Masters. Castile may not have experienced this firsthand, but his brothers were able to share their memories of Augusta National, igniting Castile's passion for golf. Serving as a recruiter for the golf team has helped improve his own self-confidence and the team chemistry.
And just having that connection with someone, getting really personal with it, it really does speak to them.
Cedar Shoals golf team members have continued to multiply since Hacker first mentioned the idea in math class. Castile has 1 year left to compete after this season.
By the time that I leave, I hope we can have a really thriving, larger team.
He has big dreams for the future of this team and the newly introduced JV team.
Michael Castile and the rest of his teammates are preparing for their first match on March 8th in Gainesville, Georgia.
Maybe with these skills, Michael will even recruit me to the team one day. Reporting from Athens Country Club, Georgia Chambers, Grady Sports.
What an incredible story about Michael Castile's passion and initiative. Thanks, Georgia. Coming up next, we'll look at how the COVID-19 pandemic has challenged the availability of local high school referees. And then J.C. Shelton and Kelly Venegas will be in the studio to shine a spotlight on an area athlete and a team to watch in the coming weeks. All this and more after the break.
Get out to the forest.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah! Woo-hoo!
Hey guys, wait up!
And discover the wonders of nature with your family.
These trees are the key to our way of life.
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning!
Clean water.
Woo-hoo! This is great!
An endless forest adventure.
Let's rock this jungle! Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's face it, referees are the glue that holds the sports world together. But as the COVID-19 pandemic continues, the availability of high school referees is continuously in limbo. Sportsource reporter Gabe Kahanian has more.
Mark Clellan, a former president of the Georgia Soccer Officials Association, or GSOA, says there's always a shortage of referees. But due to COVID-19, even fewer are available this season. Scheduling referees isn't as simple as just calling someone up to come to the game. Prince Avenue's girls varsity soccer coach, Daniel Ruiz, is the school's main scheduling contact.
Every year, like in around October, they send a contract that you got to fill out in order to use them. And then November, once they give you that contract back, you can sign up for games.
With the shortage in referees, the GSOA has learned to get creative. Schools usually receive 3 referees to officiate each game. 2 assistant referees officiate from the sidelines, and another referee mans the middle of the field while following the action. The GSOA has been sending 2-man crews to non-region games. This eliminates the referee on the pitch and leaves the 2 side judges to make the calls. The North Oconee's varsity boys team had one of their matches postponed after it almost got out of hand just using the 2 officials.
We've had an incident where the opposing coach had to forfeit a game just because he knew that the game was getting out of hand and it could have escalated to something a little bit more serious than it did.
Referees training was also affected this year. Before each season, GSOA officials have to take an 8-hour recertification class. This year, it was held online, and one of the more important tests had to be canceled. Robert Benj is a University of Georgia student who referees with the GSOA.
They had to cut out the fitness test portion of the test of the overall examination of referees and getting new referees in.
The GSOA is the largest association of Georgia High School Association soccer referees, covering not just Athens, but as far south as Macon and as far north as the Tennessee border. Tim Wool, the GSOA's current assigner, said referees have had to quarantine because of COVID-19 protocols. In his own words, it's not as much as one would think. When it becomes a problem is when the teams test positive for COVID. That means a handful of games are canceled, which leads to reschedules and cancellations. Since our referees are independent contractors, it can lead to affecting their pay. Benj, a part-time referee, is pleased with the GSOA's handling of the pandemic.
They kept safety at a priority, so they've done a very good job.
Ryan Hirano, another GSOA part-time referee, agrees with Benj and supports the GHSA's actions thus far.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's really anything. They've done a great job. I mean, no handshakes or anything like that between the captains and coaches. Coaches have been really good about wearing their mask up to the captain spot. So,
although there have been challenges, referees and coaches alike are still finding ways to make this season a reality. This is Gabriel Cahan with Sportsource.
Wow, there's definitely more than meets the eye when finding referees for a game. Thanks, Gabe. Now, let's learn more about our athlete in the spotlight. Analyst J.C. Shelton has more.
Thank you, Jayla. Luke Koenig started hitting shots with his dad at 12 years old, but he didn't start actually golfing until middle school. A few years later, and he's winning tournaments, picturing himself playing Division I college golf. Now, just 17 years old and a junior at North Oconee High School, Koenig boasts a 73 scoring average and has played school tournaments in North Oconee's first group since his freshman season in 2019. That summer, Koenig went on a hot streak of tournament wins, finishing first in the UGA Golf Course Junior Classic, the Junior Peach Blossom Classic, and the Harbor Club Junior Classic, and began to garner interest from golf programs around the country. Things slowed down, of course, in 2020. COVID-19 canceled the high school golf season, which threw a wrench in the recruiting process. Athletes are still not allowed to visit college campuses and can only have limited contact with coaches.
After freshman year, that was when I played my best golf, and I definitely had some more interest from schools, and I was planning on taking visits. But then COVID was right around this time last year, and we didn't have tournaments or anything like that for the first couple months, all the way up until about June, so we weren't able to take visits, and I was hoping to, so hopefully June 1st of this year we'll be allowed to.
Koenig did get a chance to play in 2020, though. He entered the 2020 Southeastern Golf Tour along with 200 other boys between the ages of 16 and 19, played 10 events, made all 10 cuts, and finished 4th overall in point standings with 1 win and 2 second-place finishes. North Oconee golf coach Kevin Stewart said that what really makes Koenig such a strong golfer at a young age is his mental fortitude. That helps him leave the last hole behind, whether it was good or bad, and move on to the next hole, the next shot. And that helps him put together solid rounds. Koenig himself points to one aspect of his game that helps him stay so consistent.
My driving accuracy. I've always hit the ball really straight, hit a lot of fairways, and give myself some good looks going into greens, and I just keep the ball in play and not get out of position.
Koenig's teammate Luke Jarvis has been playing with Koenig since they were freshmen together at North Oconee. And he told me what separates Koenig is his work ethic. Jarvis said that Koenig is always working on his game. I've got to say, Koenig has a great move here at only 17 with just a few years of golf under his belt. A reason for that could be his swing coach, John Tillery. Koenig told me that he and former Georgia golfer Kevin Kisner are both coached by Tillery, and Kisner is currently ranked number 34 on the PGA Tour, so not a bad model to follow at all. Koenig and his North Oconee teammates will play in their first tournament of the season, a North American Junior Golf event at Reynolds Landing next Saturday, March 6th. Back to you, Jayla.
Thank you, JC. I look forward to seeing the numbers that Koenig puts up at Reynolds Landing. With baseball season underway, there is one area team in particular that stands out from the rest. Let's go to analyst Kelly Venegas for more.
Thank you so much, Jayla. Let's get into North Oconee High School's baseball team. I had the pleasure of speaking with Coach Jay Lasley.
Usually, since we started practice on January the 16th, we try to go weather depending from about 3:30 to about probably around 6 o'clock, somewhere in there, 2:30 to 2:45 range. Just because we want to make sure the guys, have time to get home, get academics done and stuff like that. So as a coaching staff, we just try to maximize our time with them and do the best we can. But like I said, sometimes that's tough in January and February with the weather. We just do the best we can to try to be out on the field as much as we can.
Lastly has been coaching the Titans since the spring of 2016. Overall, he has a career total of 315 wins. He's 89-43 with North Oconee. Over the last 3 seasons, the Titans have gone 60-19, winning 3/4 of their games. As for the current season, so far, so good. North Oconee is undefeated. They last played in Fayetteville, where they battled, then defeated the Panthers of Stars Mill High School and won 8-2. The starting pitcher was Clemson commit Bubba Chandler. Senior Philip Ard made his presence known with a 2-strike, 2-run homer, and the two together combined 5 RBIs. In 2019, when Chandler and Ard were sophomores, the Titans were 1 away from playing in their first state championship game.
We've got a great bunch of kids. We're playing good baseball right now. We've still got a lot of better baseball we can play ahead of us. We're off to a good start. This is a group of kids who, in 2019, a lot of these kids were on a Final Four team. We felt like last year in 2020 that we had a chance to compete again for a Final Four and a state championship. So they've worked really hard, kind of had a chip on their shoulder about the fact that they feel like they have unfinished business. They didn't get a chance to complete last year's season. So, done a great job in early season practice and coming out and preparing and getting ready for the season to start. So hopefully that's the reason is we're playing good baseball and we can continue to play good baseball.
As for the short 2020 season, the Titans were off to their best start in 5 years with 10 wins and only 2 losses. North Oconee is set to, again, be one of the best teams of the region. Some of that is due to their star athletes. More than 15 pro baseball scouts were at the Stars Mill game Wednesday, lastly said to see Chandler, who is committed to play both baseball and football at Clemson. Outfielder-infielder Davis Wiley is a 3-year varsity starter and Woodford commit. Art already has 3 home runs and is proving that he has good extension through the ball. The Titans have a lot of potential, and I expect Chandler and his teammates to be in the spotlight all season long. Back to you, Jayla.
Thank you, Kelly. With all that college-level talent, North Oconee sure is a team to watch this season. Coming up next, we will hear from 2 coaches about how their teams are handling training during a pandemic. Also, we'll hear more from our expert analyst as we go beyond the bases with our high school baseball predictions.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Good to have you back with us for the last part of our show. Now, with COVID restrictions and protocols changing sports teams' plans seemingly every day, Clark Central track coach Justin Jones and Oconee County boys soccer coach Alex Ventura, who you just saw in our story about the referee shortage, are here to talk to us about how their teams are adjusting. Joining us first is Clark Central track coach Justin Jones. Coach Jones, first I want to ask, what are the specific mandates or restrictions that your team has to follow?
Obviously, if we do anything indoors, we have masks on. And just like bringing your own personal water bottle now is mandatory, bringing your mask to practice is mandatory.
Are the kids required to wear them at any time while they're outside?
It's optional, outdoors with a mask. However, we do have probably about half of our kids who choose to at least warm up in their mask.
And now I want to switch over to Coach Alex Ventura. Coach, I understand that for you guys, masks during practice aren't a requirement. So what does that look like for your team?
We have a mask on, but we don't have our players have it. So our coaching staff has one. And even during games, we have it, but the players do not, if they're outside. Now, if they're on the bus or on the bench or where they're not moving, we typically try to have them wear a mask and that set that expectation up front.
When comparing high school soccer and high school track, one of the biggest differences is the popularity of travel soccer, which isn't something that you really see in track. So Coach Ventura, I'll start with you. Do you think that club sports had an impact on the way the kids were able to stay conditioned while in a pandemic?
For the most part, some of our players were already conditioned because there was a transition from travel soccer or club soccer into high school.
And for you, Coach Jones, how did you notice all the time spent in quarantine affected how your athletes began their season?
A lot of our kids, have struggled, just to, get back in the routine of, training and conditioning consistently. And then sometimes you'll be training and then you have to take a break.
Was there a specific moment in particular when you realized that the state of which these athletes came into the season was different than in years past?
Absolutely. We did a time trial on Wednesday. A lot of our kids were just so eager to run that they shot out like rabbits, but then they finished like tortoises because they just don't have the endurance right now.
It definitely sounds like training during a pandemic is not for the faint of heart. Thank you for your time, coaches. As most of us will prepare for a rainy weekend ahead, there are two potential state title contenders who are headed to the beach, where they will face off at the annual Jekyll Jam tournament in Jekyll Island, Georgia. JC Shelton joins me now to break this matchup down. But first I gotta ask, JC, what are you wearing?
Well, you said we were going to the beach, so I brought my swim trunks.
No. We are not going to the beach. Athens Academy and Savannah Country Day are going to the beach for this week's matchup of the week.
You know what? That's okay because my legs are way too pale for this right now, so we'll just X that out.
Well, that's fine. Well, the Athens Academy Spartans and the Savannah Country Day Hornets almost always meet each other in the state playoffs. But this year, thanks to the Spartans finally securing an invite to the annual Jekyll Jam tennis tournament, the teams have the chance to play each other much earlier. JC, when I look at the history of these two teams, the first thing that stands out to me is Athens Academy's dominance. These teams have played each other in the playoffs 4 times in 7 seasons, and Athens Academy has won every time. So I'm going to ask you, do you think that Savannah Country Day can beat the Spartans in this regular season matchup?
They have a good chance, Jayla. I mean, this tournament is right in Savannah Country Day's comfort zone. I mean, the Hornets won the whole thing in 2019. This will be their 27th consecutive year in the tournament. Plus, they're a lot more experienced on clay courts, unlike Athens Academy. So Coach Jamie Cashin of Athens Academy said she's not a fan of clay courts and that not everyone on their team has experience on clay. I mean, this means they will have to prepare specifically for these clay courts at Jekyll Jam.
Those are all great points, JC. There's no denying that. And despite their record against Athens Academy, Savannah Country Day can have a lot of confidence knowing that they're more comfortable on these courts. But despite the school's rich history at Jekyll Jam, they are a relatively young squad. They have a lot of players who have yet to play at this tournament, and they're coming in with 5 freshmen, and their only senior is Wilson Player, and he is in his first year with the Hornets after moving to Georgia from Oklahoma. So do you think that this could work in Athens Academy's favor?
Yeah, experience is big here, Jayla. I mean, Savannah Country Day has an edge with a long history at this tournament, but like you said, their roster has a big turnover from last year. On the other side, Athens Academy is missing that familiarity with clay courts, but they do have a great player in their corner in senior Jack Jagers. He's won multiple titles in doubles matches for Athens Academy. He'll have a new partner in Connor Shea, who Coach Cashin says does a solid job of setting up Jaeger for plays. So overall, a lot of nuance here for both teams. But I think with the experience of Jaegers in Athens Academy's corner, they will get it done on these clay courts versus Savannah Country Day this year in their first appearance in the Jekyll Jam.
I agree. I do think this matchup could be more competitive than playoff games in the past. With such strong leadership coming from Athens Academy, I do think that they get it done. However, for me, one of the best parts about this matchup is that the outcome really could go either way. Both coaches did admit that between seniors graduating and the addition of new players, a lot has changed with both squads since their last meetup in 2019. I look forward to finding out who gets a big win at the beach. Thank you for your time, JC, and maybe if you hurry, you can catch one of the team buses to the beach. Now we shift gears to baseball. With the playoffs right around the corner, Kelly Venegas is here with me as we pitch our 2021 playoff predictions. Thanks for joining me tonight, Kelly. Now, there's no denying the talent area teams have in high school baseball this year, so I'll give you the honors of throwing out the first pitch. Who do you have making it to the playoffs?
Well, first, I want to apologize for not bringing my swim trunks like JC. I'm pitching to North Oconee Titans, who have been consistent so far in the new spring season, as I mentioned earlier in the Spotlight segment. It looks like they're hitting a home run and heading straight to playoffs. This team was given an opportunity to redeem what they had lost in the cut short 2020 season and are now taking full advantage. They finished with 10 wins and 2 losses, and now they are here to dominate as they are currently undefeated.
I agree with you on that one, Kelly. For my pitch, I'm throwing to Athens Christian. And this ball is a home run way out of the park and straight into the playoffs. Because when I think about Athens Christians, I see a team that had a lot of momentum in 2020 before the COVID season had ended things for them. The Eagles were 8-5 and riding a 4-game win streak. I see them coming back to finish what they started last year. They made it to the playoffs in 2019, and they're coming into the season with 6 upperclassmen, so experience will definitely work in their favor. Who do you have next, Kelly?
Now I'm throwing my next pitch to Prince Avenue Christian. And this ball isn't going to get hit to the outfield because I see this team going either way. The Wolverines are 4-1, but they haven't dominated. 2 of those wins were by 1 run.
I'm with you on that one, Kelly. I think my next pitch is going to get hit to the outfield too, and this ball has been hit by Athens Academy. I see the Spartans having a good season, but to the playoffs, I'm not too sure. At first glance, Athens Academy looks like a playoff team. They're coming off a 5-1 shortened season in 2020, but they never made it to region play. Now, currently, they are 3-1, but their 1 loss came against a region opponent. So this could be a sign that region play is their kryptonite.
My pitch to Cedar Shoals isn't going far, unfortunately. The Jaguars went 2-9 in 2020 and 0-24 in 2019. They do have a win already this season, so perhaps they can continue on an upswing in 2021, Jayla.
And that's not the only infield hit we have. I think my pitch to Oconee County falls short of the playoff mark as well. However, I wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors still have a winning season. The reason I don't have them in the playoffs is because they lost the veteran pitching that carried them the last 2 seasons, including an 18-13 campaign in 2019. We all know that pitching is what can make or break a team's chances at a postseason run.
My pitch to Clark Central also falls short of the playoff mark, who are 4-2 this season. For the past 6 seasons, the Gladiators have faced 52-107 losses. The team didn't qualify for region in 2020 and the 2020 season, and I don't see that happening this season either, Jayla.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Kelly. Sportsource will continue to follow these teams as their seasons progress. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @ByGradySports to get more on our upcoming shows and broadcasts. For JC Shelton and Kelly Venegas, I'm Jayla Norman, and this has been Sportsource. Good night.
Of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible. Grady Newsource is a student production of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave. Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.